The invasion begins. The skies over New York City erupted into chaos as the first wave of alien ships breached Earth's atmosphere. Their sleek obsidian hulls reflected the panicked city below, distorting the image of a world about to change forever. Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force stood atop the observation deck of the Freedom Tower, her eyes fixed on the unfolding nightmare above. "This is not a drill," she spoke into her comm device, her voice steady, despite the fear threatening to overwhelm her. "I repeat, this is not a drill. All UEDF personnel report to your designated stations immediately." As she issued the order, Sarah's mind raced through the events of the past 48 hours. The first signs of the impending invasion had been subtle: unusual gravitational readings, inexplicable communication blackouts, and a series of unexplained phenomena in the upper atmosphere. By the time Earth scientists had pieced together the puzzle, it was already too late. The alien armada had appeared seemingly out of nowhere, their advanced cloaking technology rendering them invisible until they were practically on top of Earth's major cities. Now, as Sarah watched, the invaders' ships began to deploy what looked like massive, floating fortresses. These structures hovered ominously over the city, casting long shadows across the panicked streets below. "Captain Chen." A voice crackled through her earpiece. It was Admiral Zhao, her superior officer, and the head of Earth's orbital defense network. "Status report." Sarah swallowed hard before responding. "Sir, the alien forces have breached our atmosphere and are establishing footholds over major population centers. New York it's chaos down here." "What about our orbital defenses?" Zhao demanded, a hint of desperation creeping into his voice. Sarah hesitated, dreading the words she had to speak. "Sir, our satellite network is gone. The aliens took out our entire orbital infrastructure in the first wave. We're blind up there." A heavy silence followed, broken only by the distant sounds of explosions and the wail of emergency sirens. When Zhao spoke again, his voice was grim. "Understood, Captain. We're initiating Protocol Omega. Get to the underground command center immediately." As Sarah turned to leave, a brilliant flash of light caught her attention. She spun around just in time to see one of the alien fortresses fire a beam of incandescent energy directly at the Statue of Liberty. The iconic monument shuddered for a moment before disintegrating into a cloud of superheated particles. Tears stung Sarah's eyes as she watched the symbol of freedom and hope vanish in an instant. This wasn't just an invasion. It was an attempt to break humanity's spirit. Across the globe, similar scenes were unfolding. In London, the Houses of Parliament crumbled under alien bombardment. The Great Wall of China, which had stood for millennia, was reduced to rubble in a matter of minutes. The pyramids of Giza, the Taj Mahal, the Sydney Opera House, one by one, Earth's greatest landmarks fell. As Sarah made her way to the underground command center, she couldn't help but feel a sense of hopelessness. How could humanity possibly stand against such overwhelming force? The command center was a hive of frantic activity when Sarah arrived. Screens displayed real-time footage of the invasion from every corner of the globe, each image more devastating than the last. In the center of it all stood General Marcus Blackwood, his face a mask of grim determination. "Captain Chen," he acknowledged as Sarah approached. "Glad you made it. We need every able body we can get." Sarah saluted crisply. "Sir, what's our status?" Blackwood's expression darkened. "It's bad, Captain. We've lost contact with most of our military installations worldwide. The aliens are systematically targeting our defense capabilities. Our air forces are engaging. But..." He trailed off, gesturing to a nearby screen where Earth fighter jets were being swatted out of the sky like flies. "Do we have any idea who they are or what they want?" Sarah asked, her mind racing to find some advantage, some weakness they could exploit. Blackwood shook his head. "Negative. They haven't attempted communication. As far as we can tell, their goal is total domination, or extermination." A young lieutenant approached, his face pale. "General, we've just lost contact with the Pacific Fleet," the last transmission reported. Something huge rising from the ocean depths. Sarah and Blackwood exchanged worried glances. Another alien weapon, Sarah ventured. Before Blackwood could respond, the command center's main screen flickered to life. The face that appeared was unmistakably human, but the expression it wore was one of fierce determination, tinged with a hint of madness. "This is Dr. Evelyn Hawthorne of Project Poseidon," the woman on the screen announced. "To any remaining Earth Defense Forces, help is on the way. Hold the line." As quickly as it had appeared, the transmission cut out, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Blackwood was the first to recover. "Project Poseidon. I've never heard of it." Sarah's mind raced, trying to recall any mention of such a project in her years of service. "Sir, could it be some kind of deep-sea defense system?" Before Blackwood could speculate further, another lieutenant called out, "General, we're picking up massive energy signatures from the Pacific Ocean. Whatever's down there, it's big, and it's headed towards the alien ships over Hawaii." The main screen switched to a satellite view of the Pacific. At first, Sarah couldn't make sense of what she was seeing. Then, slowly, impossibly, the ocean itself seemed to bulge upward. A colossal shape broke the surface, sleek, dark, and bristling with what could only be advanced weaponry. It was a submarine, but unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. As it fully emerged, she realized with a start that it was easily the size of an aircraft carrier, and it wasn't alone. All across the Pacific, more of these behemoths were surfacing, their massive forms cutting through the waves with impossible speed and grace. "My God," Blackwood whispered, his eyes wide with a mixture of awe and hope. "We had an ace up our sleeve after all." As they watched, the lead submarine opened fire on the nearest alien fortress. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out, slicing through the alien defenses like they were made of paper. The fortress listed to one side, trailing smoke and debris, before plummeting into the ocean below. For the first time since the invasion began, a cheer went up in the command center. Sarah felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. They weren't beaten yet. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but they weren't going down without a fight. As the Poseidon submarines engaged the alien forces over the Pacific, similar reports began flooding in from other oceans. Whatever Project Poseidon was, it had been global in scale, and it was now Earth's best hope for survival. Blackwood turned to Sarah, his eyes blazing with renewed determination. "Captain Chen, I need you to coordinate with these Poseidon forces, find out what they need from us, and how we can support their efforts." Sarah snapped to attention, her earlier despair replaced by a fierce resolve. "Yes, sir." As she moved to carry out her orders, Sarah caught another glimpse of the main screen. The alien ships that had seemed so invincible just hours ago were now scrambling to regroup in the face of this unexpected threat. Earth had been bloodied, but it wasn't beaten. The real fight was just beginning, and Sarah swore to herself that she would see it through to the end, whatever the cost. Humanity's darkest hour was upon them, but with it came the opportunity to prove their true strength, their resilience, and their unwavering spirit. The invasion had begun, but so too had Earth's counterattack, and Sarah Chen, along with countless others around the world, was ready to give everything to ensure that this was not the end of humanity, but the beginning of its greatest chapter. The hidden defense. The command center hummed with renewed energy as reports flooded in from across the globe. Captain Sarah Chen's fingers flew across her console, coordinating communications between the newly emerged Poseidon forces and the remaining Earth defense units. The tide of battle was shifting, but the alien invasion was far from over. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from the U.S. Leviathan," announced Lieutenant Rodriguez, his voice tinged with excitement. "It's the flagship of the Poseidon fleet." Sarah's heart raced as she accepted the call. The screen flickered to life, revealing the determined face of Admiral Kira Tanaka, her dark eyes gleaming with a mix of fatigue and fierce resolve. "This is Admiral Tanaka of the Poseidon Project," she began without preamble. "I understand you've been tasked with coordination. Captain Chen, sir." "Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," Sarah replied crisply. "We're grateful for your intervention, Admiral. But I have to ask, what exactly is the Poseidon Project, and why are we only learning about it now?" Admiral Tanaka's expression softened slightly. "I apologize for the secrecy, Captain. The Poseidon Project was conceived nearly 2 decades ago, in response to early warnings of potential extraterrestrial threats. Our mission was to create a hidden line of defense that could be activated in humanity's darkest hour." As Tanaka spoke, Sarah's console lit up with incoming data, schematics, personnel files, and mission briefings, all bearing the Poseidon Project insignia. Her eyes widened as she began to grasp the scope of the operation. "The submarines, they're more than just weapons platforms, aren't they?" Sarah asked, her mind racing. Tanaka nodded. "They're entire cities, Captain. Self-sustaining habitats capable of supporting thousands of people indefinitely. We've been living beneath the waves for years, preparing for this day." The implications were staggering. While the rest of the world had gone about its business, a secret society of soldiers, scientists, and civilians had been building an underwater civilization, dedicated to the survival of the human race. "Admiral," General Blackwood interjected, joining the conversation, "your timing couldn't have been better. But even with your impressive firepower, we're still outgunned. What's our next move?" Tanaka's eyes hardened. "We've been monitoring the alien communications. They're regrouping for a major offensive, targeting our largest population centers. We need to evacuate as many civilians as possible to our underwater habitats." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. "You're talking about abandoning the surface." "Not abandoning, Captain. Retreating to regroup," Tanaka corrected. "Our Poseidon vessels can breach the alien blockade and transport civilians to safety. But we'll need your help to coordinate the evacuations." As the gravity of the situation sank in, alarms blared throughout the command center. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos. "Multiple bogies incoming. The aliens are launching a counterattack." General Blackwood's voice boomed across the room. "Battle stations, everyone. Captain Chen, work with Admiral Tanaka to begin evacuations. We'll buy you as much time as we can." Sarah's training kicked in as she began issuing orders, coordinating with local authorities to establish evacuation points. On her screen, she could see the massive Poseidon submarines moving into position near major coastal cities, their hulls opening to reveal cavernous docking bays. As the evacuation efforts ramped up, the skies above erupted in chaos. The alien forces, enraged by the unexpected resistance, unleashed a barrage of energy weapons that lit up the night sky. Earth's remaining fighter squadrons scrambled to intercept, their outdated jets looking pitiful against the sleek alien craft. But they weren't alone. From the oceans rose squadrons of sleek, manta ray-like fighters, launched from the Poseidon submarines. These aquatic aircraft engaged the alien forces with startling agility, their advanced energy weapons tearing through the invaders' shields. Prometheus Squadron, engaging hostiles over New York, crackled a voice over the comm. "Dan, these fish can fly." Despite the dire circumstances, Sarah couldn't help but smile at the pilot's enthusiasm. Humanity's hidden defenders were proving their worth, giving hope where before there had been only despair. As the battle raged above, the evacuation continued below. Sarah watched the live feeds with a mixture of awe and heartbreak as millions of people streamed towards the waiting Poseidon vessels. Families clutching whatever possessions they could carry, children wide-eyed with fear and wonder, all boarding the massive submarines that promised salvation. "Captain," Admiral Tanaka's voice cut through Sarah's thoughts. "We're detecting a massive energy buildup in the alien fleet. They're preparing to deploy some kind of superweapon." Sarah's blood ran cold. "Can the Poseidon fleet intercept?" Tanaka's expression was grim. "Negative. Our forces are spread too thin covering the evacuations. We need another solution, fast. Sarah's mind raced, scanning through the Poseidon project files that had been shared with her. Suddenly, a designation caught her eye. Project Kraken. Admiral, what's Project Kraken? Sarah asked urgently. Tanaka's eyes widened in surprise. It's a theoretical weapons system designed to disrupt alien technology. But it's never been tested. The power requirements alone are. Could it stop their superweapon? Sarah pressed. If it works, yes. But the risks. Sarah made a split-second decision. General Blackwood. Sir, I recommend we activate Project Kraken immediately. Blackwood looked from Sarah to Tanaka, then nodded grimly. Do it. Admiral Tanaka took a deep breath, then began issuing orders to her crew. On the main screen, Sarah watched as one of the Poseidon submarines, larger than the others, began to transform. Its hull split open, revealing a massive, pulsing core of energy. Kraken is armed and ready, Tanaka reported. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A blinding pulse of energy erupted from the submarine, expanding outward in a rapidly growing sphere. As it washed over the alien fleet, their ships began to falter, energy weapons sputtering out and engines failing. For a moment, everything seemed to hang in perfect stillness. Then, with a series of spectacular explosions, the alien superweapon detonated prematurely, taking out a significant portion of their fleet in the process. Cheers erupted in the command center. But Sarah knew the battle was far from over. The Kraken pulse had been effective, but it had also drained a significant portion of the Poseidon fleet's power reserves. All units, pressed the advantage. Blackwood ordered. We may not get another chance like this. As the human forces rallied, pushing back against the temporarily weakened alien fleet, Sarah turned her attention back to the evacuation efforts. The Poseidon submarines were nearing capacity, their massive hulls disappearing beneath the waves with precious human cargo. Captain Chin. Admiral Tanaka's voice was soft but insistent. It's time. We need to submerge and regroup. Are you coming with us? Sarah looked around the command center, at the faces of her colleagues, tired, scared, but determined. She thought of her family, hopefully already safe aboard one of the Poseidon vessels. Then she thought of all those who couldn't be evacuated, who would remain on the surface to continue the fight. No, Admiral, Sarah replied, her voice steady. My place is here, coordinating the surface resistance. We'll keep fighting, keep them distracted while you prepare our counterattack. Tanaka nodded, understanding and respect clear in her eyes. Good luck, Captain. We'll be in touch through secure channels. Earth abides. As the transmission cut out, Sarah turned to General Blackwood. Sir, what are your orders? Blackwood's face was etched with fatigue, but his eyes burned with determination. We dig in, Captain. We show these alien bastards that humanity doesn't go down without a fight. And we give our friends under the sea the time they need to turn this war around. Sarah nodded, squaring her shoulders as she turned back to her console. The next few hours would be crucial. As she began issuing orders to the remaining surface forces, coordinating guerrilla strikes and defensive positions, a small part of her marveled at the strange turn her life had taken. This morning, she had been a captain in a peacetime military, concerned with drills and paperwork. Now she was helping to orchestrate humanity's last stand against an alien invasion, with the fate of her species hanging in the balance. But as she looked around at her fellow soldiers, at the determination etched on every face, Sarah felt a surge of pride. Humanity had been knocked down, but they weren't out. With the Poseidon Project's hidden strength and the indomitable human spirit, they still had a fighting chance. The alien invasion had begun, but so too had humanity's finest hour. And Sarah Chen was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, for the sake of her people, her planet, and the future they would fight tooth and nail to secure. As the command center bustled with activity, Coordinating the ongoing evacuation and mounting guerrilla resistance, Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. The emergence of the Poseidon Project had changed everything, giving humanity a chance where before there had been only despair. But the road ahead would be long and fraught with danger. The aliens, though temporarily set back, were far from defeated. And for those left on the surface, like Sarah and her comrades, the real battle was just beginning. But with their hidden defenders preparing beneath the waves and the unbreakable spirit of humanity driving them forward, Sarah knew that this was not the end. It was merely the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge, and potentially its greatest triumph. Turning the tide. 3 months had passed since the initial alien invasion, and the face of the earth had changed dramatically. Major cities lay in ruins, their skylines forever altered by the devastating alien weaponry. But amidst the destruction, pockets of human resistance fought on with fierce determination. Captain Sarah Chen stood atop the ruins of what had once been the Lincoln Memorial, her eyes scanning the horizon. Washington, D.C., like many capital cities around the world, had become a battleground. The reflecting pool now served as a makeshift landing strip for salvaged aircraft, while the Washington Monument had been converted into a communications tower for the resistance. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Poseidon Command," called out Lieutenant Rodriguez, who had become Sarah's right-hand man in the months since the invasion began. Sarah nodded, making her way back to their hidden command post beneath the ruins of the Capitol building. As she entered, the holographic display flickered to life, revealing the face of Admiral Tanaka. "Captain Chen," Tanaka greeted, her face showing signs of strain, but her eyes as determined as ever. "I hope this transmission finds you well." Sarah managed a tired smile. "As well as can be expected, Admiral. What news from the depths?" "We're ready," Tanaka replied, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Project Prometheus is complete. We're preparing for the counteroffensive." Sarah's heart raced at the news. Project Prometheus had been the code name for a daring plan to reverse engineer alien technology, combining it with human ingenuity to create weapons capable of turning the tide of the war. "That's excellent news, Admiral," Sarah said, allowing herself to feel a glimmer of hope. "What's the next step?" "We're surfacing key elements of the Poseidon fleet at strategic points around the globe," Tanaka explained. "We'll need your surface forces to provide cover and distraction while we deploy the Prometheus weapons." As Tanaka spoke, the holographic display shifted, showing a 3D map of the Earth. Red dots indicated alien strongholds, while blue markers showed the planned surfacing points for the Poseidon fleet. "We've identified 3 primary targets," Tanaka continued. "The alien command ship in low Earth orbit, their main ground base in the Sahara, and their underwater staging area in the Mariana Trench. If we can strike all 3 simultaneously, we may be able to cripple their operations." Sarah studied the map intently, her tactical mind already formulating plans. "We'll need to coordinate a global effort like nothing we've ever attempted before," she mused. "Exactly," Tanaka nodded. "That's why we need you, Captain. Your experience coordinating the surface resistance makes you the ideal person to lead this operation from the ground." Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders, but she squared them resolutely. "I'm ready, Admiral. Just tell me what you need." The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of activity. Sarah worked tirelessly, coordinating with resistance cells around the world, organizing diversionary tactics, and preparing for the arrival of the Poseidon forces. As the appointed hour approached, Sarah found herself in a mobile command unit, racing towards the coastline where one of the Poseidon submarines was set to surface. The plan was to use a network of these mobile units around the world, allowing Sarah and her team to coordinate the global assault while staying mobile and avoiding alien detection. "T-5 minutes to Poseidon surfacing," Rodriguez announced, his voice tense with anticipation. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "All units, check in," she ordered over the secure global frequency. One by one, resistance leaders from around the world reported in. From the mountains of Tibet to the Amazon rainforest, from the African savannas to the Australian outback, humanity's last defenders were ready to make their stand. Poseidon vessel surfacing, Rodriguez called out. Sarah watched in awe as the massive submarine broke the surface of the ocean, water cascading off its sleek hull. But this time, the vessel looked different. New weapons arrays dotted its surface, glowing with an otherworldly energy that spoke of the alien technology they had integrated. As the submarine's main hatch opened, a squad of soldiers emerged, but their appearance made Sarah's eyes widen in surprise. They wore powered exoskeletons that seemed to blur the line between man and machine, each suit bristling with advanced weaponry. Prometheus Squad, reporting for duty, the lead soldier announced, saluting Sarah crisply. Sarah returned the salute, a fierce grin spreading across her face. Welcome to the surface, soldiers. Let's show these aliens what humanity is really capable of. As the Prometheus soldiers integrated with the surface resistance forces, similar scenes were playing out around the world. The Poseidon fleet was surfacing, deploying their advanced weaponry and enhanced troops to key strategic locations. All units, prepare to engage, Sarah ordered, her voice carrying across the global network. Remember, our primary objective is to provide cover for the Prometheus weapons. Whatever you do, keep the aliens distracted. As if on cue, the sky lit up with energy blasts as the alien forces detected the surfacing Poseidon fleet. But this time, humanity was ready. Prometheus squads took to the skies, their exoskeletons allowing them to fly and engage the alien craft in midair. Traditional aircraft, enhanced with reverse-engineered alien tech, joined the fray, holding their own against the invaders for the first time since the war began. On the ground, resistance fighters armed with new energy weapons engaged alien ground forces. The weapons, a fusion of human and alien technology, cut through the invaders' defenses with unprecedented effectiveness. Sarah's mobile command unit raced along the coastline, coordinating the assault. Team Alpha, push forward to Sector 7, she ordered. Bravo, provide covering fire for the Prometheus deployment in Sector 3. As the battle raged, Sarah kept a close eye on the main objectives. In low Earth orbit, a specially modified Poseidon vessel, more spaceship than submarine, was engaging the alien command ship. In the Sahara, Prometheus squads were infiltrating the aliens' main ground base, and in the Pacific, depth charges infused with the new Prometheus tech were being deployed against the underwater alien staging area. Captain, Rodriguez called out, his voice urgent. We're detecting a massive energy buildup from the alien command ship. They're preparing to fire their main weapon. Sarah's mind raced. If that weapon fired, it could wipe out a significant portion of their forces. All units, focus fire on the command ship, she ordered. We need to buy our team up there more time. Around the world, every available weapon turned skyward, pouring fire into the alien command ship. On Sarah's display, she could see the ship's shields beginning to buckle under the assault. This is Orbital Team, a voice crackled over the comm. We're in position, preparing to deploy the Prometheus core. Sarah held her breath as she watched the feed from the Orbital Team. A small group of Prometheus soldiers, their exoskeletons modified for space combat, were attaching a pulsing device to the alien ship's hull. Prometheus core planted, the team leader reported. Detonation in 3, 2, 1. A blinding flash lit up the sky, visible even in broad daylight. When it faded, the alien command ship was adrift, its systems offline. Similar reports began pouring in from the other fronts. In the Sahara, Prometheus squads had successfully infiltrated and sabotaged the alien base. In the Mariana Trench, the depth charges had disrupted the alien staging area, sending their submarines into disarray. For the first time since the invasion began, Sarah allowed herself to feel real hope. They were doing it. They were actually pushing the aliens back. All units, press the advantage, she ordered, her voice filled with fierce determination. Don't let up. Today, we take back our planet. The next few hours were a blur of constant action. Sarah coordinated strikes against alien strongholds, directed relief efforts to liberated areas, and managed the deployment of Prometheus technology to resistance cells around the world. As the sun began to set, Sarah received a transmission she had been waiting months to hear. Admiral Tanaka's face appeared on her display, a rare smile gracing her features. "Captain Chen," Tanaka said, her voice filled with pride. "I'm pleased to report that alien forces are in full retreat. We've done it. Earth is ours again." A cheer went up from everyone in the mobile command unit. Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes as the full weight of their accomplishment hit her. They had faced extinction, and against all odds, they had emerged victorious. But as the initial euphoria faded, Sarah knew that their work was far from over. The aliens had been driven off, but at a terrible cost. The Earth lay in ruins, its population decimated, its ecosystems ravaged by the war. "What now, Admiral?" Sarah asked, her mind already turning to the challenges ahead. Tanaka's expression grew serious. "Now, Captain, we rebuild. We take what we've learned, the technology we've gained, and we use it to create a better world, a world ready to take its place among the stars." Sarah nodded, a sense of purpose filling her. The war had forced humanity to come together like never before, to push the boundaries of what they thought possible. Now they had the opportunity to forge a new path forward. "I'll begin coordinating recovery efforts immediately," Sarah said. "Good," Tanaka replied. "And Captain, thank you. None of this would have been possible without your leadership." As the transmission ended, Sarah stepped out of the mobile command unit, gazing up at the sky. The stars were visible now, no longer obscured by the alien ships that had haunted Earth's orbit for months. Lieutenant Rodriguez joined her, following her gaze. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" he said softly. Sarah nodded. "It is. And it's ours again." She turned to face him, her expression resolute. "But our work is just beginning. We have a world to rebuild." As they stood there, watching the stars twinkle in the darkening sky, Sarah felt a profound sense of change. Humanity had been tested, pushed to the very brink of extinction, but they had survived, and in doing so, had unlocked potential they never knew they possessed. The invasion was over, but a new chapter in human history was just beginning. And Sarah Chen, along with countless others around the world, was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their determination to build a brighter future for all of humanity. The alien perspective. In the dark void of space, far beyond the orbit of Mars, the remnants of the once mighty Zarkoth invasion fleet drifted aimlessly. Aboard the flagship Eternal Void, Supreme Commander Vexera stood before a holographic display of the Sol system, her 4 eyes narrowed in frustration and disbelief. "How?" she hissed, her scaled skin shifting colors to reflect her agitation. "How did these primitive beings defeat us?" Next to her, Science Officer Zinlor cleared his throat nervously. "Supreme Commander, our initial assessments of human capabilities were flawed. We underestimated their adaptability and resourcefulness." Vexera's tail lashed angrily, knocking over a nearby data terminal. "Flawed? We lost half our fleet to a species that hadn't even achieved interstellar travel. The High Council will have our heads for this failure." As if summoned by her words, the holographic display flickered, replaced by the imposing visage of High Counselor Drakthar. His expression was one of cold fury. "Supreme Commander Vexera," he intoned, his voice dripping with disdain. "Explain to me how the mighty Zarkoth Empire has been humiliated by a bunch of hairless apes on a backwater planet." Vexera straightened, pushing down her fear. "High Counselor, the humans proved to be more resourceful than anticipated. They had hidden defenses, advanced technology we hadn't detected. Our intelligence was incomplete." Drakthar's eyes narrowed dangerously. "And whose fault is that, Supreme Commander? You assured the Council that this invasion would be a simple matter, a quick subjugation to add another resource-rich world to our empire. Instead, you've depleted our military strength and exposed our vulnerabilities to the entire sector. With all due respect, High Counselor, Zinlor interjected, his voice quavering slightly. The humans displayed technological capabilities far beyond what our initial scans indicated. They had some form of underwater civilization that... Silence. Drakthar roared, causing both Vexera and Zinlor to flinch. I don't want excuses. I want solutions. Supreme Commander, you have one solar cycle to salvage this situation. Either you bring me the humans' new technology, or you bring me their unconditional surrender. Fail, and the consequences will be severe. The transmission cut out abruptly, leaving Vexera and Zinlor in stunned silence. What do we do now? Zinlor asked, his usual scientific detachment replaced by obvious fear. Vexera's mind raced. They didn't have the forces for another full-scale invasion, not after the losses they'd sustained. But perhaps, we need to be smarter this time, she said slowly. No brute force. We need to understand our enemy. She turned to Zinlor. Prepare a stealth mission. I want our best infiltrators on the ground. We need to learn everything we can about these humans, especially their new technology. As Zinlor hurried off to carry out her orders, Vexera turned back to the holographic display of Earth. She zoomed in on the planet's surface, studying the scars left by their invasion. Something caught her eye. Strange structures rising from the oceans, unlike anything they'd seen before. What are you hiding beneath those waves? She murmured to herself. Weeks passed as the Zarkov infiltrators carried out their mission on Earth. Vexera pored over their reports, her frustration growing with each new piece of information. Impossible, she muttered, reading the latest data. Their rate of technological advancement is unprecedented. It's as if they've leapfrogged centuries of development in mere months. Zinlor, who had been analyzing the data alongside her, looked up with excitement in his eyes. Supreme Commander, I believe I found something. The humans didn't develop this technology on their own. They've somehow managed to reverse engineer our own systems. Vexera's eyes widened in shock. How? Our technology is supposed to be incomprehensible to lesser species. It's a safeguard against exactly this kind of situation. I don't know, Zinlor admitted. But look at these energy signatures. They're unmistakably Zarkov in origin, but modified. Enhanced, even. The humans haven't just copied our technology, they've improved upon it. The cold feeling settled in Vexera's stomach. If the humans could do this in such a short time, what else were they capable of? For the first time since the invasion began, she felt a twinge of fear. We need to report this to the High Council immediately, she said. But before she could open a communication channel, alarms blared throughout the ship. Supreme Commander, a panicked voice called out over the intercom. We're detecting multiple objects approaching at high speed. Vexera rushed to the bridge, Zinlor close behind. The main view screen showed a swarm of small, sleek vessels rapidly closing in on their position. Their design was clearly influenced by Zarkov technology, but with a distinctly human flair. Impossible, Vexera breathed. They followed us out here. How did they even detect us? As if in answer, the lead human ship opened a communication channel. The face that appeared on the screen was one Vexera recognized from intelligence reports, Captain Sarah Chen of the Human Resistance. Attention Zarkov vessel. Chen's voice rang out, clear and confident. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. Your presence in our solar system is a violation of the terms of your surrender. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Vexera's mind reeled. Surrender. They hadn't surrendered. And the High Council made a deal without informing her. This is Supreme Commander Vexera, she responded, trying to keep her voice steady. We have received no such surrender order. Explain yourself, human. Sarah's expression hardened. Your High Council signed a peace treaty with Earth 3 days ago. Supreme Commander. They disavowed your invasion and agreed to reparations. Didn't you get the memo? The bridge fell silent as the implications of Sarah's words sank in. They had been abandoned, left to take the fall for the failed invasion. Zinlor leaned in close to Vexera, whispering urgently, "Supreme Commander, if what she's saying is true, we have no choice. The High Council has sacrificed us to save face." Vexera's mind raced, considering her options. They were outgunned, outnumbered, and apparently outcasts from their own empire. There was only one path forward. "Captain Chin," she said, her voice heavy with resignation. We surrender. But I request asylum for myself and my crew. It seems we have been betrayed by our own people." Sarah's eyebrows rose in surprise, but she nodded. "Agreed. Power down your weapons and prepare for boarding. We'll discuss the terms of your asylum once we've secured your vessel." As the human ships moved in to dock with the Eternal Void, Vexera turned to her crew. "This is not how I expected this campaign to end," she said softly. "But perhaps it's an opportunity. We've underestimated these humans at every turn. Maybe it's time we learned from them instead." The next few hours were a blur of activity as human forces boarded the Zarkov ship. Vexera watched with a mixture of awe and trepidation as the humans moved through the vessel, their Prometheus-enhanced exosuits allowing them to easily navigate the alien environment. Captain Chen approached Vexera, her expression a mix of caution and curiosity. "Supreme Commander," she said, her voice firm but not unkind. "I have to admit, I didn't expect you to surrender so readily." Vexera's scales shifted to a muted blue, indicating her resignation. "What choice did we have, Captain? Our own people have abandoned us. And after seeing what your species is capable of, perhaps surrender is the wisest course of action." Sarah studied the alien commander for a moment before speaking. "I won't pretend to understand the intricacies of Zarkov politics, but I can assure you that Earth will honor the terms of your asylum. In return, we expect your full cooperation in understanding your technology and culture." Zinlor stepped forward, his eyes bright with scientific curiosity. "Captain Chin, if I may, I would be most interested in learning how your people managed to reverse engineer and improve upon our technology so quickly. The scientific implications are staggering." A small smile played at the corners of Sarah's mouth. "I think we have a lot we can learn from each other, Science Officer. Your technology combined with human ingenuity and adaptability. Who knows what we might achieve?" As the humans began the process of securing the Zarkov vessel for the journey back to Earth, Vexera found herself reflecting on the strange turn of events. They had come to this system as conquerors, sure of their superiority. Now, they were returning as refugees, at the mercy of those they had sought to subjugate. "Captain Chen," Vexera said, drawing Sarah's attention, I owe you and your people an apology. We gravely underestimated humanity. But perhaps, out of this conflict, we can forge something new. A partnership that could benefit both our peoples." Sarah considered the alien commander's words carefully before responding. "It won't be easy," she said. "There's a lot of hurt and mistrust to overcome. But if we've learned anything from this war, it's that humanity is capable of amazing things when we work together. Maybe it's time to extend that spirit of cooperation beyond our own planet." As the Earth ships prepared to tow the Eternal Void back to their homeworld, Vexera gazed out at the stars. The Zarkov Empire had sought to conquer this tiny blue planet, seeing it as nothing more than another resource to be exploited. Instead, they had found a species of incredible resilience, adaptability, and potential. The invasion had failed, but perhaps something far more valuable had been gained. As the fleet began its journey back to Earth, Vexera allowed herself to feel something she hadn't experienced in a long time: hope for the future, and curiosity about what that future might hold. The age of conflict between humans and Zarkov was ending. An era of cooperation and mutual discovery was just beginning. And as they traveled through the void of space, both species looked ahead to the possibilities that awaited them, ready to face the challenges and opportunities of a new galactic age together. Humanity's triumph. 1 year had passed since the surrender of Supreme Commander Vexera and the signing of the peace treaty with the Zarkov Empire. Earth was a planet transformed, not just by the scars of war, but by the rapid advancements that had followed. Captain Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood atop the newly constructed Unity Tower in New York City. The gleaming structure, a fusion of human and Zarkov architecture, stretched into the sky, a symbol of Earth's rebirth and new place in the galactic community. "Impressive view, isn't it?" a familiar voice said behind her. Sarah turned to see Vexera approaching, the former Zarkov commander's scales shimmering with a mix of blue and green. Colors that Sarah had learned indicated thoughtfulness and hope. "It still takes my breath away," Sarah admitted. "Sometimes I can hardly believe how far we've come in just a year." Vexera nodded, her 4 eyes scanning the horizon. Where once there had been ruins, now stood gleaming buildings that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Vehicles that looked more like elegant creatures than machines flitted between the structures, their anti-gravity technology, a gift from the Zarkov refugees. "Your people's ability to adapt and innovate continues to astound me," Vexera said. "In my entire career with the Zarkov Empire, I never saw advancements happen this quickly." Sarah smiled. "Well, we had good teachers, and a lot of motivation to rebuild and improve." Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle chime. Sarah tapped her wrist device, projecting a holographic display. "Admiral Chen," she answered. The face of Dr. Evelyn Hawthorne, the mastermind behind Project Poseidon, appeared. "Admiral, it's time. The council is assembling for the ceremony." Sarah nodded. "We're on our way." She turned to Vexera, ready to make history. The alien commander's scales rippled with a mix of excitement and nervousness. "As ready as I'll ever be." Together, they made their way to the Grand Assembly Hall at the base of Unity Tower. The room was filled with dignitaries from every nation on Earth, as well as a contingent of Zarkov refugees who had chosen to make Earth their new home. As Sarah and Vexera took their places on the stage, a hush fell over the crowd. Dr. Hawthorne stepped up to the podium, her face beaming with pride. "Distinguished guests, fellow Earthlings, and our Zarkov friends," she began. "1 year ago, we stood on the brink of extinction. Today, we stand at the dawn of a new era for humanity." She gestured to a large object covered by a shimmering force field. "Thanks to the combined efforts of human ingenuity and Zarkov technology, I am proud to present humanity's first faster-than-light spacecraft, the Phoenix." The force field dissipated, revealing a sleek vessel that seemed to glow with an inner light. Its design was clearly influenced by both human and Zarkov aesthetics, a true fusion of two worlds. Applause erupted from the audience. Sarah felt a swell of emotion in her chest. The Phoenix represented more than just technological achievement. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, their ability to rise from the ashes of near destruction and reach for the stars. Dr. Hawthorne continued, "The Phoenix is equipped with technology that will allow us to explore beyond our solar system, to seek out new worlds and new civilizations. But more than that, it represents a new chapter in human history. We are no longer alone in the universe, and we are ready to take our place among the stars." As the ceremony continued, Sarah's mind wandered to the journey that had brought them to this point. The devastating invasion, the emergence of the Poseidon Project, the desperate battles fought on land, sea, and in space. Every hardship, every sacrifice had led to this moment. After the unveiling, Sarah found herself in a quiet corner of the reception, lost in thought. She was joined by Lieutenant, now Captain, Rodriguez, who handed her a glass of champagne. "Credit for your thoughts, Admiral," he asked with a smile. Sarah took a sip before responding. "I was just thinking about how much has changed. A year ago, we were fighting for our very survival. Now we're preparing to explore the galaxy." Rodriguez nodded. "It's been quite a journey, but if anyone had told me back then that we'd be working alongside the Zarkov to build a better future, I'd have thought they were crazy. Life has a way of surprising us, Sarah mused. She glanced across the room, where Vexera was deep in conversation with a group of human scientists, all of them gesticulating excitedly as they discussed some new theory or technology. Admiral Chen, the voice called out. Sarah turned to see Admiral Kira Tanaka approaching, her usual stern expression softened by the day's events. Admiral Tanaka. Sarah greeted her warmly. I'm glad you could make it to the surface for this. Tanaka nodded. I wouldn't have missed it. The Poseidon Project may have helped save humanity, but it's events like these that remind us why we fought so hard. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden commotion near the main entrance. Sarah tensed, old battle instincts kicking in, but relaxed when she saw the cause of the excitement. A group of children, both human and Zarkov, came bursting into the room, their faces alight with excitement. They were students from the newly established Interspecies Academy, a school dedicated to fostering understanding and cooperation between the two races. One of the human children, a young girl with bright eyes and an even brighter smile, broke away from the group and ran straight for Sarah. Admiral Chen, she called out. Is it true? Are we really going to explore other planets? Sarah knelt down to the girl's level, unable to keep the smile from her face. That's right. And someday, if you study hard and follow your dreams, you might be one of the people flying ships like the Phoenix. The girl's eyes widened with wonder. Really? You mean I could visit other worlds? You could do more than visit, Sarah said. You could help build bridges between different species, just like we're doing here on Earth. The galaxy is full of wonders, and it's going to be up to your generation to explore them. As the children gathered around, peppering her with questions about space travel and alien worlds, Sarah felt a profound sense of hope for the future. These children, growing up in a world where humans and Zarkov lived and worked together, represented the best chance for lasting peace and cooperation. Later, as the ceremony wound down, Sarah found herself back on the observation deck of Unity Tower. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. In the fading light, she could just make out the silhouette of the Phoenix, docked at the newly constructed spaceport on the outskirts of the city. Quite a view, isn't it? A gravelly voice said behind her. Sarah turned to see General Marcus Blackwood, now the head of Earth's combined defense forces, joining her at the railing. It certainly is, sir, she replied. Blackwood chuckled. I think we're well past the need for sir, Sarah, especially given that you outrank me now. Sarah smiled, but said nothing, waiting for the old soldier to continue. You know, Blackwood said after a moment, when this all started, I thought for sure we were done for. A washed-up old warhorse watching as humanity faced extinction. He shook his head. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine we'd end up here. It's been quite a journey, Sarah agreed. That it has, Blackwood nodded. And it's not over yet. That ship out there, he gestured towards the Phoenix, it's going to open up a whole new chapter for us. New challenges, new dangers. Sarah turned to face him fully. Are you worried? Blackwood considered the question for a moment. Cautious, maybe, but not worried. Not anymore. He placed a hand on Sarah's shoulder. Because I've seen what humanity is capable of when our backs are against the wall. And I've seen the kind of leaders this crisis has forged. Sarah felt a lump form in her throat at the unexpected praise. We all did our part, she said softly. That we did, Blackwood agreed. And we'll keep doing it. The war might be over, but our work is just beginning. As if to underscore his words, Sarah's communicator chimed. It was a message from Dr. Hawthorne. Phoenix, pre-flight checks complete. We're ready for our first test run whenever you are, Admiral. Sarah looked up at Blackwood, a mixture of excitement and apprehension in her eyes. Looks like it's time. Blackwood nodded, a glint of pride in his eyes. Go on then, Admiral. The stars are waiting. As Sarah made her way to the spaceport, she reflected on the incredible journey that had brought humanity to this point. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had taken the technology of their would-be conquerors and improved upon it. They had turned enemies into allies and reshaped their world in the process. Now, as she boarded the Phoenix for its maiden voyage, Sarah Chen felt the weight of history on her shoulders. But it was a weight she was ready to bear, because with every challenge they had faced, humanity had proven its strength, its resilience, and its boundless capacity for growth. The Phoenix powered up, its engines humming with the combined genius of two species. As the ship lifted off, breaking free from Earth's gravity, Sarah looked back at the blue marble that was her home. It seemed so small from up here, so fragile, but she knew better. Earth had weathered the greatest storm in its history, and it had emerged stronger for it. As the Phoenix accelerated, preparing for its first faster-than-light jump, Sarah turned her gaze forward, towards the endless expanse of stars. The invasion was over. The rebuilding was well underway. And now, at last, humanity was ready to take its first real steps into the cosmic ocean. Whatever challenges awaited them out there in the vast unknown, Sarah was confident that humanity would face them with the same courage, ingenuity, and spirit that had seen them through their darkest hour. The future was uncertain, but it was bright with possibility. As the stars stretched into streaks of light around the ship, Sarah Chen, Admiral of Earth's first interstellar vessel, gave the order that would usher in a new age of exploration and discovery. Take us to warp. The Phoenix leaped forward, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of a species reborn. Humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.